Just today, reminding me.
You got your close second.
Where, here? Oh, and the building inspector. Oh yeah, I love this building.
Well, let's begin. We'll begin this work session for the first common council of 2018. We'll have a brief organizational items and continue on with the agenda. This is the opportunity for us to have further discussion on any items in the agenda that you'd like to pull out and perhaps ask to the department heads or any relevant people. There will be a need to go into a brief executive session tonight. If I could entertain a motion on that.
So moved.
Your convenience will be the subject of City of Plattsburgh and the PCRA, the Retirees Association.
Also, boat basin.
And also a possible settlement with the Plattsburgh boat basin.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is it going now then?
Sure.
Be back in about 10 minutes, folks. Thanks.
Oh, that's just, that's the same one we're talking about. Yeah, right, that's the same one, right? I thought you meant that. Yeah, that could be interesting too. She feeds her kids, I guess, I mean, ago, right? That's a big hole.
So yeah, that's
Go up and forever. Building up.
Yeah.
ended up getting this plan.
So that could be, think about it. It's a highway through. I take that route, that route, downtown, right?
Well, now, actually, since we get it, we're not going to take off. I go up, the street. Where the building was falling down. Between the two banks. Community bank. They look that street and they go on Count Street. Go through stuff. And they go to Broad and then go over.
Pretty much have to have a wedding and lost.
That's where we're going to go south. Actually, that's a good idea. Mike, what's the name of the street between the two banks? Division. It was a piece. I was thinking of like some military name.
Protection, but that's over what.
I bought this one specifically because it's a low profile. I know all the stuff, right?
That's when we lost the bank building from the tax roll. Church parking lot.
Which one? That's which one?
Loan office. Then it sort of fall apart.
If they had their loan officer. Oh, well, yeah, okay.
They did, thank you.
Because there was a chart where I think backside.
I think so. What was?
Dudes don't wear outfits, do they?
Yeah.
It's a nice outfit.
Got my capris on.
Last year.
I know, I'm trying to do like.
Once I get this one snowed up, I'm gut.
Let's start with Hong Kong and Shanghai. And then it moves again. 38.
If I get a shirt that fits my shoulders, then it's
You know, this side, it's blue. So pretty soon you'll see it.
We're getting
Oh, yeah. Well, this does too. Yeah.
I play the cards.
Jackson better.
It's funny because so many people that work this come over to our office.
There was one machine I got and looked at it, was 50 bucks old.
Turn it out. Oh, that's, yeah, that right there.
Until they're ready to have it.
Yeah, they don't really know. You're gonna be trying to get to, Leave it on Dave Lesser.
Actually, unfortunately, you're not.
Probably.
Yeah, you guys are really good.
You should be.
That's right. We
got some big ones. No.
I'll visit you all the time.
Green Streets.
Where are they going after?
Get a green strip.
Are you trying to move the city hall too?
Yeah, that would be right. It's on the spectrum.
Those operations go down to 122, which is a company owned by the Spaniards. It's got orange signs and it rhymes with Leipzig.
Yeah, then everybody wants to run like a bit of
That's what Vulcan does.
That transition charge that they call it.
Basically, swear.
Probably all your Christmas trees.
Totally dead time.
I always have tons of them.
I don't know why. Next summer, you got all two days.
So I moved. But I said to Joel, is there stuff of any good food? And he goes, well, finance got something to be sent over there. I'm like, I
Cheryl's individually wrapped cookies.
Oh, how were they? Were they still good? Yeah, because they were just doing that so good.
Oh.
Unistat.
Yes.
Are you with you? I need your pockets. Dang it.
We can go get one.
No.
It's very, very
So far. I would actually like a turkey sub, like hot peppers and cheese.
my husband is real mad at me.
If I have a husband, I would.
Okay, when
In the field, it's.
Are you having something?
You'll be here in 15 minutes.
That's true, I can eat myself like 4 days later.
Have a pizza delivered.
Oh, man. Well, that's me, that's great. So you're gonna give us me right here? I think I get in trouble maybe. Would that be inappropriate? Would I get in trouble back?
Everything's inappropriate.
I don't think you'd be in
As
trouble.
long as you share it with the council.
Well, I don't know.
If you get that, what was that?
It's too bad, yeah, I'll give you a slice.
So you get
How's that?
as long as you share.
I like that.
Yeah,
What?
I always buy.
but they deliver, so.
Insomnia cookies? Why do we not have one of those? I can start my own business. So we want a new business in town, and so it says my job is to bring this business into town. Insomnia bakery, insomnia.
4 hours, fresh cookie.
Sounds amazing.
Just about.
Get out of here. Worth it. Worth
Today, Plattsburgh, Westland is closed. The employees were told this morning.
It's supposed to be that bad. Not us, never.
It looks like it did. I wonder what that means.
Well, it's built inside the thing.
They used to have one out.
Hey, they used to have Red Lobster here too.
Those so Kmart was in the wall, it's no longer there. It was part of it.
The South Pole.
So where you go is you walk in the front now. That was hallway. The doors, they were they're exactly where
I heard what Kmart is gonna go, so yeah, just saw that.
Yeah, seriously.
That little closet.
Latest rumor is
They keep them from that. For the most part.
Right, and you drop that out. So I we buy going back to that's one, it's not that it's actually sense of that.
I can raise it lower.
There's no all right. And it should be
Control is how far it shifts.
So I bought this back.
It's substantial. It's
We're rolling off.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
Well, so it's got, it does have, yes, so.
Last week on
Fast part. Checks you out the first time. Yeah. Wireless.
Oh, yeah.
The mice love you.
Already, you know, watching some stuff that like, me and my wife fly along, so.
So, you know, while they're
I touched that up, it's fine. And that's exactly what.
It's like touching over, it's down the line. Big kid from Amazon.
Use it or lose it. I got burned on that last year. We did that. As usual. Miscalculated.
Oh, it's right here. One ringing.
2, 3. They sure did. Good. One's a disability pay from 2017, and of course it's 3 pays for this year so far. 1 bi-weekly, 1 weekly, 1 black.
You can have those. These are done.
Okay.
Oh, they saw your note.
Only once a week. Wow. He doesn't do it. So I can see if it's real time. You know what I mean? Like, come in and
So that is an Oculus Rift. Yeah, my kid had Christmas trees. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Toward us, right? So I caught him on sale for $350.
Sorry. We need a few more people here.
So it's a virtual reality headset. Each eye has its own display. When you're inside it, it's tracks your head, it tracks your hands, and knows where your body is. So he was playing a game. He was playing a bunch of different games. He was playing a game called you're in there and you're being when you're in it, it's like have an app for it. And too, but it's like you're sitting in the theater and you're looking at the screen when you're outside.
Take it out, get right pocket.
Funny to see.
What's that?
It was funny on the video that you had on there.
Well, what's that?
I think it's great. When you're in there, you feel like you're in there. You look like an idiot. So there's 2 cameras that are watching you feeding data back, and it knows where your fingers are doing when they're on the controller. And it's like, watch what it's doing. It's already off. First time he actually blocked it. Same as my he blocked it. Job signals. Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
Highly recommend it.
We built it.
Some of the games, if you're motion sensitive, like motion there's one game you don't actually stand up in it, you just kind of sit down and you're looking around.
It went up in 1991.
I was playing that game, and I was on the left of the game, and it felt like the chair was going. I knew I wasn't going to well, hold on.
Council meeting.
You don't hit noses, right? You can wait till watch your first
I saw one of those things cut through 6 feet of concrete like it
I know, right?
jacket water and suck it out. It's all New York City, you just dig their streets up to get around all the infrastructure that's buried in their street there. I mean, if you shove it in the jacket, you're going to see. So what they do is they inject water into the ground and suck it out with the power. It just turns it into a slurry and digs the hole, basically.
Of course. It's indelible ink, right?
That's a typical. And that's how they do it. It's not that bad. That's what
You know,
two were from two. You didn't go to Belladonna? Before we were
Change the camera angles and now I use the shot. I said, I'm supposed to be heard but not seen.
You see the
The video was, yeah, I was supposed to watch it.
if you really don't take it,
That's why Jake.
can't hit it with the physical target. That's why these guys are sitting against the wall over there.
Getting out of the shot.
You can hear her from all the way back there.
Yes. Oh, we know what to say.
You guys can read lips.
I'll just start. Shall I? I'll just read through everything.
Marks?
Joe.
How are you?
Joe, we're also the citizens.
Moving out to the.
Still avoiding the trust.
Storm. Yeah, we need to get an advisory and all.
Sweet
hail, we gotta cool out.
Is it supposed to be anything tomorrow?
And they're really cold. Long hair, right?
Saturday's supposed to be a high of minus 11. Don't like that.
But then you want to go.
Today was warm enough to go play golf.
It felt like it was really warm out, yeah. So it's because we're used to minus 12. Oh, can you turn your heating, Dale?
Yeah.
Turn it down. See if it goes up. No, the doohickey goes down.
I thought it was just about right. Okay, there I did it.
I'm sorry, that took a little bit longer than expected. We're coming out of executive session. We're discussing a potential settlement between the city and Plattsburgh Boat Basin, and I brought the councilors up to speed on our discussions in litigation and potential settlement with Retirees Association as well. Is there any other issues on the agenda that you'd like to discuss now before we go into session?
Do it now or do it then? I just have one question. Number 2, the payrolls of various departments for the weeks ending December 3rd, 27th.
December 31st, 20th?
Well, ending December 27th and January 3rd. Is the longevity payments in there?
Yeah.
Those payments have already been made.
They have. Okay. And is there a different setup now for the forthcoming year?
No, it's up to the council to decide what to do with those.
Okay. All right.
Any other further questions? If not, let's call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Reed?
Present.
Counselor Armstrong? Here. Counselor Kelly?
Here.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel? Counselor Casper? Here. Counselor Pretzer?
Here.
We note that Counselor Ensel couldn't be with us. He's in Boston tonight. Medical procedure, everything is fine. He's very confident to be here next week and looking forward to that. But he just wanted to offer his apologies. We're into a new year. I love New Year's. My wife and I got married on New Year. I recommend that highly. It's a very easy date to remember. You never forget an anniversary that way. We always jump into the new year with some excitement. So today's our first council meeting for the new year, and we still obviously have a great city and a great set of people and employees that we're going to work with to provide the services that the city demands. But as you all know, many of you who watch this closely, we do have serious challenges facing our city. And we went through a very difficult year last year, and hopefully we're pointing in a little bit more sound financial direction, but while we're floating towards the top, we're still a little bit underwater, and obviously this is going to be a difficult year as well. Now, we've made some very difficult but very necessary decisions in this past year. If we hadn't, our fund balance would probably be significantly negative to somewhere around the tune of $2 million at this point, from $6.8 million just half a dozen years ago. We coped with many expenses that should have been better anticipated. We faced increases in healthcare costs that always seem to rise much faster than inflation. We set aside money for the claims of our firefighters pending an appeal, and we squared up on a number of issues that have been kicked down the road for a little while. But despite these challenges, we'll probably end up closing our books. We'll end up in the red. Our fund balance will be negative, almost certainly, but not nearly so bad as it could have or would have been. And I appreciate all the help from the council, from our city leaders, and from the employees to help in this very difficult year. And that said, and as painful as last year was, this upcoming year will probably be even more painful. The scale of permanent and temporary expense reductions assigned to me in your 5-year budget are of about the same scales we've had to cope with this past year. But now we have fewer options. Obviously, we did some very difficult things this year, but those were actually, in retrospect, some of the easier decisions we'll have to make. So I don't underestimate that we're going to have to have a very difficult year this upcoming year as well. And yet raising taxes dramatically in absence of serious reflection on the direction of our city this seems to me even more impossible, even more formidable than the difficult year we'll have in trying to reduce expenses further. Now, I know that there's people out there that question our facts, but nobody's yet to produce an alternative set of facts. I guess it's part of freedom of speech that people can sit on the sidelines and complain about some of the decisions that we've had to make without offering solutions or viable alternatives. But at this time in our history of our fair city, when we need your ideas for what each of us can do to make this city more viable for our children's future, I really need people to step forward. The challenges are apparent and there's no reason to constantly dwell on them. What we will now need are solutions, so please weigh in. We'll have to work together to figure out what we can do to protect our city employees, provide for the services our residents expect, and ensure that the city becomes no more unaffordable. Our challenge for this new year is to be willing to have difficult discussions. I appreciate the councilors who join me each week in our brainstorming sessions with our managers that occur on an almost daily basis. I know those councilors appreciate the open door policy I've maintained for all discussions pertinent to the city. Our leaders have a right and indeed a need to be informed, but it's also a privilege that requires a lot of investment of your time, much vetting, and a lot of very valuable brainstorming, so we end up having at least three-quarter baked ideas to bring to the public for their consideration. The openness of our discussions is a two-way street, though. Tonight, I'm asking for our liaison structure to become more transparent as well. After all, a window must be two-way. Let's consider the way the county does their business through a well-defined committee structure where committees actively engage with department heads in a public setting on a monthly basis, so we truly have inclusion and transparency all round. Some of you have been very vocal about asking for transparency. I'm asking for transparency in the other direction as well by moving to a structure that works out very well for the county, includes the department heads, includes the councilors, and includes the public in very important discussions on our policy. So let us roll up our sleeves and get to work to represent the vast majority of the public who want us to work together, who want to help us in any way they can, who want us to put the time in to do the brainstorming, come up with solutions, and make it happen for our residents' sake. Let's make my New Year's hope into our New Year's resolution. Thank you. Continue. At this time, we're entering an organizational part of our meeting. At this time, the chair will entertain nominations from the floor for the position of Mayor Pro Tem. I see a nomination from Councillor Kelly.
I'd like to nominate Rochelle Armstrong for Mayor Pro Tem.
Rochelle, do you accept that nomination? Do we have discussion for that? We have discussion?
Just a second.
Second?
I'll second my own.
Second, okay. Discussion?
There will be a second nomination most likely tonight by the same four people who pulled this stunt last year. The goal was then and now to disrupt city business, and I strongly disagree with that. I think Rochelle Armstrong has demonstrated her ability to lead and to be a good support to the mayor over. Also, as the mayor was saying, it's important for us to reach out to the public, and Rochelle, probably as much or more than any of us, has demonstrated that ability to reach out to the public and do things like set up a snow removal committee, set up a strategic planning committee. And she is the person I believe that the mayor would prefer in this position, and I would too. I would too. If she is the person who is most capable, most positioned to work with the mayor, then that's the person we need for the job. We don't need any more disruptions. We don't need any more divisiveness. Last year, the four of you put up Josh Kretzer as Mayor Pro Tem. That was not the mayor's choice. His choice last year also was Rochelle Armstrong. But you did this because of your dislike of the mayor. You've expressed that openly several times. Maybe you felt as though you were shortchanged because he won and your candidate didn't. I really don't know. But I do know that if we're going to move forward as a city, this disruption and this drama has to end. We have to work together. You three, I can't speak for Dale, of course, because he never had the opportunity, but you three would never have done such a thing to Jim Calnon as come up with your own mayor pro tem. Jim stated who he wanted, and we all voted unanimously on it. And your move here is disruptive, and it's wrong. And it's not the way we've done things in the past. And I don't see the value. And I'll tell you one other thing. The public is watching this. The public is watching all of us. And what you're doing is disruptive.
Okay. Mike.
No, I'm not finished, Rochelle. I'm sorry. I'm going to finish. What you're doing is disruptive, and once again is an effort to create division in our ranks. And I don't know how much longer we should stand for that, frankly. So therefore, the mayor's choice, I believe, is Rochelle Armstrong, and I'm going to go with that. That's my. I figured you would.
I think you're doing a disservice to Rochelle, whom I respect greatly. And I think she has demonstrated her competency for Mayor Pro Tem because she served twice in that position. And I also believe that council members should step up and exercise responsibilities in different ways at different times. And I really have a problem with you characterizing the democratic process as being so disruptive as to be morally wrong. Certainly the democratic process is disruptive, but it's not morally wrong. And if we stop exercising it, then we're just giving in. So, Rochelle, with all respect, Mike, with no respect to your comments, and I would ask you not to point a finger at me any longer when you have
I'm
something
going to point
say.
fingers, Becky. As long as you keep being a divisive force in this council, then I'm going to point fingers.
I mean,
you can count on that.
You can say what you want, but please don't lift your finger at me.
Well, I'm sorry that this, I mean, I fully appreciate any member's ability and right to speak their mind at the council table. My hope is that we can communicate effectively, listen to all points of view, focus on issues, and certainly go forward. The thing that we have before us is a formidable task, making very weighty decisions about our city's future. You know, it's always difficult to change. And I think some of the discomfort this year has been with the extent of the change, the unfamiliarity of the approaches to city business, and that's caused great disagreement. And that's probably natural. However, I firmly believe that we need to explore, to research together new ways of doing business. And that's why I voted for the organizational changes to the city governance structure or departmental structure that I did, and fully backed the mayor, you know. And work on together, and that's what my role will be if you are to vote me in.
I certainly believe that, Rochelle, and because of that, you certainly have my support.
Thank you.
Any further rather painful discussion?
Yes. If I could, from the city charter, the mayor pro tem job description. At the first meeting of the common council in each official year, or a soon thereafter as practical, the Common Council should choose a councilor to be mayor pro tem. B, when the mayor is absent from a council meeting or temporarily unable to perform the duties of mayor due to illness or disability, the mayor pro tem shall be the presiding officer of the Common Council and have all the powers and duties and be subject to all the obligations and liabilities of the mayor, except that the mayor pro tem shall not make any appointment or removal from office or have the power to veto council action or cast a vote on a tie. However, the mayor pro tem shall not lose his or her vote as a councilor while acting as presiding officer of the Common Council. When the mayor is absent or unable to perform the duties of the office for an extended or frequent periods of time because of illness or disability, and the mayor pro tem performs the duties of mayor on substantially a full-time basis, the Common Council shall increase the mayor pro tem's compensation with the duties assumed. That is the description of the mayor pro tem, just for the point of clarification of the duties of the mayor pro tem.
Thank you, Dale. They're always good.
There.
The documents.
There.
Because when you pulled this stunt last year, it didn't work out so good for you. Josh and the mayor didn't get along all that well. And it's, it's common knowledge. And I have no reason to believe that it's not going to happen again this year. That relationship between mayor and mayor pro tem is supposed to be a strong one and a collegial one. And in the past, it has been, which is why I just can't understand why you, Becky, and you, Josh, would do this. I mean, you wouldn't have done this to Jim Calhoun. No way would you have done this. But yet you're willing to do it to this mayor, and that's what I don't understand.
Mike, Jim is sure living rent-free in your mind.
And I have no idea what that means, but that's how I see things. And I can't believe that you would do that to this mayor and this fellow councilor. And you two are Democrats. You two are Democrats. We're supposed to be in the same party. We're supposed to back each other up and support each other. Including this, appoint or support a mayor pro tem. And I just wonder when's it going to stop. As I said before, the public's watching. They see who the people are trying to change things for the better in the city. And they see the people who are digging in their heels and trying to live in the past. And this needs to stop. We need to go forward together. There's so many difficult things we have to do this year. We need a strong, unified team to do that. And this matter you're about to pull tonight is not going to help with that. I promise you that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
No.
Counselor Casper?
No.
Counselor Kretzer?
No.
Okay, so without 4 votes, the motion doesn't carry. You could entertain another nominee, or you could table this until next meeting when we have a full council Hensel here.
I'd like to nominate Councilor Dowdle for mayor pro tem.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
I would just like to say I think there's a role to play of a loyal dissenter. And I think that Dale has demonstrated that he is committed to the city. We are at the grassroots level, and partisan politics, I don't think, is really helpful to us at all. And Dale has demonstrated that he's willing to work with everyone. He's very dedicated. I've worked with him on numerous projects. He's on just about every committee that he's asked to be on. And I think that he can be a very collaborative and collegial, loyal dissenter. Someone who is able to offer critiques and yet also be able to do the right thing for the city at all times.
Further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
No.
Counselor Kelly?
No.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Same scenario. Okay, we have 4 votes. Any other nominations? at this time? Seeing none at this time, the chair will entertain nominations from the floor for the position of clerk of the Common Council. It's a thrilling job, responsible to ensure that records of absentee are kept. Councilor Dowell fulfilled this job for the past year.
For 4 years, right?
Who's counting? Yes.
Any nominations?
Anybody want to volunteer?
I'll volunteer.
There you go.
I nominate Mike Kelly.
Second?
I second.
Council.
Oh, I can't second, so.
Discussion.
Who seconded?
Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Pritzer?
Yes.
A nice moment of unanimity. Next item is establishment and composition of council department liaison committees. As you know, in the past, we've assigned liaisons to approximately 10 or 11 various departments. I recommend we collapse those liaisons into 6 categories. The category of governance, of finance, a category of library, and a category of municipal lighting. I'd anticipated also heading in my recommendations for individuals for those very much along the lines of their existing liaison duties to now. But if you all want to self-nominate into those various positions, that's perfectly fine with me too. As I mentioned in my preamble, I see a great value in having a monthly meeting for each of these liaisons in a public setting with the full department participation. I anticipate each one of these 4 groups that should be done on a monthly basis will begin on a separate Thursday at 4:30, take a half an hour to 45 minutes, do much of the deliberation. Of course, any council is able to attend, although the deliberation is primarily between 2 councilors, the various department heads. I would participate, and any public could participate too. These are public meetings, very much like the county does their business. MLD and library being slightly different independent organizations. I didn't slot them or recommended they be slotted in those same Thursday time slots. They'd be more flexible and come up with another time for those 2. I can tell you in the county it works very well in my experience. Each legislator in the county handles 1 committee, as I propose each councilor handling one of these committees. The department heads will report each month. Things like travel requests, budget requests, policy discussions will all flow through these liaison committees. And it works incredibly well in a very open and transparent setting. I've been saying for a long time, I think I lament and really miss that we don't have a better structure for committees within the city of Plattsburgh, and I think this would be one step that I think will solve a lot of our biggest challenges simultaneously, including ensuring that the councilors are much more engaged and involved in the policy making for the various departments. So I really hope that you'll consider this fully.
Do we fill in slots now, or?
What I would recommend, if you're willing to do it, is to approve the concept and then self-nominate over the coming week, and you all can then go over the liaison assignments next week if you like. To me, that I'm perfectly comfortable deferring to you all how you'd like to do that.
Then I'll move.
Moved by Councilor Casper. Do I have a second? Councilor Pretzer. Discussion.
I have a question. In the charter, the prohibitions of interference with administration. How is this going to?
Since that would be...
I know it's a lot of interpretation, There's been some variations on counselor to department contacts, discussions, liaisons, things like that. Is this
The mayor will be a member of the committee as well.
right?
So I would be in the room, so there'd be no somehow going over the head of the mayor.
Right, and it reminds me, to some extent, of the committees that existed before we decided to go to the committee of the whole.
Yep.
Back in the.
We did a committee report.
Because we had regular sessions twice a month, and then we had work sessions, and the work sessions would be scheduled for infrastructure, public safety, yeah.
So this is
Very similar
in
to that.
part, in some part, a reversion to the other structure.
So would there be outside contacts, or would this be solely the contact?
You know, I don't know of any, just let me interject, I don't know of any prohibition against contact. I mean, we meet with Joe, you meet with Joe, you meet, according to business, we collaborate.
Right, and there was some discussion on contact through the charter. I think it was back in August that you requested that any direct contact would be CC'd to you, indicating the discussion that we had, and then that the department head would also give feedback. There was a lot of discussion, on any contacts that.
What I think I was iterating was a reiteration of Mayor Callahan's interpretation of C3-8, was it? That I think you all had addressed a year or two before that. But I think that this solves that. We're all in the same room together. And,
So does that eliminate any other contacts?
I would expect and hope that we can do all of our business all together in the presence of the department heads and the public.
So there would be no need for liaison conferences with departments. This would eliminate
I
that
think
need.
that this would substitute for that. At least that's the way it works in the county.
Okay.
So this will be it then, okay.
And there was some question, I know Pauli Dominica said, looking at the city infrastructure committee, and they're listed in the infrastructure in that first section, but when it lists the meeting,
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Next item, what would be the next item, please?
At this time, the chair recognizes that Dean Schneller is serving the second year of his four-year appointment as Corporation Counsel for the period of February 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2021, and said previous appointment is hereby confirmed.
Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Appointment of Fair Housing Officer. Whereas the Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity administers federal laws and establishes national policies to ensure that all Americans have equal access to the housing of their choice.
Make a motion to implement Rule 4. Or actually, no, I want to waive the reading of the resolution, sorry.
Moved by Councilor Kretzer, second by Councilor Casper. Any discussion? Invoking Rule 4.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Now discussion of the item, sorry. Seeing no discussion, roll call, please.
Counselor Armstrong? Yes. Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
by Councilor Cressler, second by Councilor Armstrong. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Discussion on the actual item? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Cresser?
Yes.
Proposed resolution designating the Press Republican as the official newspaper of the city of
I'd like to make a
Plattsburgh.
motion to waive the reading and move the resolution.
Moved by Councilor Cressler, second by Councilor Casper. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion on the item? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Cresser?
Yes.
Proposed resolution designating the Glens Falls National Bank Market Street branch as the official depository for all city of Plattsburgh
I'd like to
funds.
make a motion to waive the reading and move the resolution. There you go.
In this case, I might have been just as quick, just to...
I know. Just trying to say that earlier too.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion on the item?
We need a second.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
second it.
Councilor Armstrong, second. Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Cresser?
Yes.
Proposed resolution adopting the president investment policy for the period January 1st, 2018, ending December 31st, 2018, unless otherwise amended.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the resolution and waive the reading and move the resolution.
Councilor Cressler, second by Councilor Dowell. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Cresser?
Yes.
Resolved that the rules for 2018 being and the same are hereby accepted and adopted by the common council as
I'd
follows.
like to make a motion to waive the reading and move the resolution.
Moved by Councilor Cressler, second by Councilor Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion. This is quite a long list of rules. This will be what governs the council for the next year. You make sure you're comfortable with that. No changes. Ready for vote? Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong? Yes. Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Cresser?
Yes.
Proposed resolution establishing the amount of the blanket bond or undertaking for city employees of $250,000 and for the state chamberlain of
I'd like to
$500,000.
make a motion to waive the reading and move the resolution.
Councilor Cressler, second by Councilor Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion, please. Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Cresser?
Yes.
Resolved that in accordance with section 6-15F of the city charter, the common council sets forth composition, function, and duties of the pre-audit committee of the common council as follows.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading and move the resolution.
Moved by Councilor Cressler, second by, I see Councilor Dowell's hand up. I don't know if you're scratching or second.
That's up.
Not an option. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion, please. Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Cresser?
Yes.
I have a motion to adjourn the organizational meeting and begin the regular meeting. Moved by Councilor Cressler, second by Councilor Dowell. Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong? Yes. Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowell?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Cresser?
Yes.
So, begun the regular meeting of Common Council. I think we've already done the Pledge of Allegiance. Do another roll call.
Mayor Reed?
Present.
Counselor Armstrong? Here. Counselor Kelly?
Here.
Counselor Dowell?
Here.
Counselor Ansel? Counselor Casper? Here. Counselor Cresser?
Here.
I could read my mayor's comments one more time, but I don't think that's necessary. I think the message is I know we've got an awful lot of very difficult work to do in the coming year, and as humanly possible to best serve the residents of the city of Plattsburgh. Let's proceed, please, with minutes.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the common council held on December 20th, 20th, 2017, and a special meeting of the Common Council held on December 27th, 2017, are approved and placed on file among the public.
Second by Councilor Armstrong. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed.
Resolved that the payrolls of the various departments of the city of Plattsburgh for the weeks ending December 27th, 2017, in the amount of $101,633.47, and January 3rd, 2018, in the amount of $473,537.59, are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby empowered and directed to sign warrants drawn in the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Kelly, second by Councilor Dowdle. Discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Councilor Dowdle?
Yes.
Councilor Casper? Yes. Councilor Spencer?
Yes.
Resolved that the report as presented hereby ordered received and placed on file among the public records of the city of Plattsburgh.
Moved by Councilor Kretzer, second by Councilor Kelly. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Resolved that the bill allotted by the Common Council for the weeks ending December 29th, 2017, in the amount of $1,152,616.17, and January 5th, 2018, in the amount of $302,837.64, are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby authorized and directed to sign warrants drawn in the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Kelly. Discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Councilor Dowdle?
Yes.
Councilor Casper?
Yes.
Councilor Kretzer?
Yes.
This is the time when we ask any members of the public to please come address the council. This time, please address your comments to items on the agenda. There will be another public comment period momentarily. Seeing none, let's proceed, please.
Resolved that in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council here planning board agency for the Commons of Plattsburgh, 460 Margaret Street.
Moved by Councilor Kretzer, second by Councilor Armstrong. Discussion. The property.
Okay, so what's on the agenda right now is for subdivision that's got to go in front of the planning board. That's going to happen Monday. Following week, they go to zoning board, then back to the planning board for final subdivision. It's my understanding that they're going to resume cleanup starting next week.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Councilor Dowdle?
Yes.
Councilor Casper?
Yes.
Councilor Kretzer?
Yes.
Resolved that in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves the city chamberlain to close the 2017 budget for all city funds with a final budget adjustment and data as detailed in the attached schedule of entries representing the documentation for this action.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Kelly. Discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Councilor Dowdle?
Yes.
Councilor Casper?
Yes.
Councilor Kretzer?
Yes.
Are there any resolutions for initial consideration? Any new business or councilor reports? Seeing none, this is an opportunity for the public to please. Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Kretzer. Roll call, please.
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Councilor Dowdle?
Yes.
Councilor Casper?
Yes.
Councilor Kretzer?
Yes.
Thank you all for coming tonight.